let me know.
You start talking, man.
Okay.
We'll make a video.
All right. Hi, Milgat Farms.
Don't look at me. You gotta look in those cameras.
I know. Okay. All right. Hi, guys. My name's Nick, or Nico in the Philippines. I'm gonna do a manual brew pour over. So we have our kettle with a gooseneck spout, so we can control the amount of water that we're gonna put into our V60 pour over. This is just a very simple V60 you can get off of Amazon. We're gonna weigh our coffee. This coffee is roasted by none other than Kevin Conner himself. So we'll weigh it. We'll get our ratio here, which is gonna be 15 to 1. We're gonna manually grind it here. This part you can speed up. Right, so we got our coffee ground. So there's a few things you want to do with the V60 pour over. First, you want to heat up your pour over, at least get a little bit of heat going. And then this is just a V60 coffee filter. You can get these almost anywhere. You want to make sure that your coffee filter is the same size as your brewer, otherwise you can run into some problems. And we will, after preheating the brewer, we're now going to wet the paper. This just helps get rid of any potential paper taste that you don't want in your coffee. And so we get rid of all of that water. All right, all of that out. So now we have essentially a clean cup, a clean brewer. We're gonna reset our scale here again, and 15 to 1. So we're gonna go here by the exact gram. We have a really coarse grind. You don't want anything too fine when you are doing a pour over. You want it to be extra coarse, and that's just to extract. It helps out with your extraction. All right, so we're just right at 15. So 15 to 1, which means we're gonna brew for about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. We're gonna start with a bloom. So the bloom is to help get out all of the acidity that is in your coffee. The bloom itself would be extremely helpful in just removing some of that acidity. So we'll start our timer. We're at 0. The first is just gonna be 50 grams. Usually, if you're doing a 15 to 1 or a 16 to 1 ratio, and you can see this here already, there's a lot of gas coming out here. So we're just gonna go to 50 grams. And so the bloom is, you'll see it, the coffee literally just blooms up, and that's all of the gas coming out, right? So we'll let that bloom for about 35, 40 seconds, and then we can start the actual brewing process. And this is just things I've learned over a few years living in the Philippines, but we will do what we call a pulse. So the pulse is, you're gonna put in a certain amount of water, and then you'll wait for about 10 seconds, and then you'll put in another amount of water. And everybody has a different recipe, they call it, or how much water they'll put in at a time, but I'm gonna go here to 150. And then we're gonna give it a swirl so that our extraction is more consistent. So we'll let that pulse for just about 10 seconds, and we'll put in our next ratio or amount of water that we're gonna pulse with. And here we are again. 200, and we're just going to 250, so we maintain that 15 to 1 ratio. Do another swirl. Some people just do a swirl once. I like to do it more than once just to keep that consistency. We're back here again with our last pulse. We're just using the gooseneck to keep the water consistent as we go here on the pour over. And then one of the biggest important things about doing a pour over is that you want to make sure that you pull off the actual extraction process within about 2 minutes to 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Some people leave it just dripping here for 4 or 5 minutes, and then you kind of just reverse what you did with the bloom. You're adding acidity again to your coffee, because if you just let it cool down and sit too long, you're over extracting, and then you're putting back too much acidity into your cup. So, and then this is just a weighing scale. from Time More. They run about $60, $70, but they're very accurate with their grams for your weight, and then it just has the convenience of the timer there so that you can pulse and they're your time. So we're going to pull this exactly at 230. So that's still brewing, or it's still extracting, but we want to remove that so that you don't get too acidic. And then here's your cup, and ideally if you had like a flask or something that you would put this into, you would then pour it into your final cup. So then there's your cup of coffee. So here we go. And that is a manual pour over G60 style. Have any questions or?
How long is the overall extraction?
2 minutes and 30 seconds is what I like to do. Some people actually pull it at 2 minutes. So it depends. And whether you would pull at 2 minutes or 2 minutes and 30 seconds, even with a French press, which is almost, the most simple way to make coffee, you just throw your grinds in. You want it to be coarse. You don't actually want it to be super fine like espresso. You throw your grinds in, put your water in. Some people do the bloom, even with a French press, which is you just add a little bit of water, let some of that acidity go out, and then put the rest of your water in. And 2 minutes, 30 seconds, you press and then pour. But a lot of people, you'll see that French press sits there for 10 or 15 minutes. So you're getting a really acidic cup of coffee at that point because the extraction just keeps going and going and going, and it's cooling down already. So some coffee, the moment it cools down, the acidity is just like boom, super acidic, and it's no longer enjoyable. So 2 to 3 minutes probably is a good ratio.
Okay.
Yeah. And
here we go, guys. Keep in mind, I don't drink coffee. Oh, it does smell good though. That's really hot, Nick. You probably need to wait a little bit. Still tastes like coffee.
still tastes like coffee.
Another coffee person. I don't know why we rose.
No worries, but we can at least get a cheers to your cup of coffee.
I got to work on this.
Now what's real fun, and I don't know if you don't have to put this into the video, or you could, there is... Oops. That's hot.
It's hot. I like Kevin.
There is a machine that does this entire process for you.
Called a coffee machine?
No, it's a Lucas. I think it's called a Tune, T-U-N-E, and it is an entirely robotic pour over machine. It's meant...
A robotic pour over machine?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that would be neat, wouldn't it?
Yeah. The idea is that a barista doesn't have enough time to do this for 50 people that walk in and say, I want a specialty coffee, single origin, pour over. So what they can do though is run the beans that are single origin and specialty coffee into a grinder that's specifically set for pour over and not espresso. Done, dump, hit button, and it does the pulse, it does the...
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right. So for Maple Festival this year, we bought a Bun coffee maker.
Okay.
Which does what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It pulses.
Yeah.
It doesn't just dump that whole bunch of water in there and let it brew.
Yeah.
And it will brew 1.5 gallons in a big carafe in about 6 minutes, 7 minutes.
Okay. Nice.
And so we grind it to a certain grind size, put it in the filter,
Mm-hmm.
and then we start the process, and you will hear it. You'll
Mm-hmm.
stop.
Mm-hmm.
Stop.
Yep.
And that's how it works. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, not that I like coffee though, but it's kind of neat. It smells good.
This is true. Yeah, if you don't mind, I want to get a little bit of this. I really want to try it in a week.
All right, you got as much as you want.
I'm really curious. It's got already a good flavor, good notes. It's still coffee, right?
Yeah, it's still coffee.
I brought some coffee back from the Philippines last year, and I told my mom, I was like, oh yeah, this one has got some chocolatey notes, some caramel notes. And she's like, really? I want to try it. I didn't know coffee could have that. And I said notes. I didn't say it tastes like. It just said it has notes. And she drank it. And she's like, oh my goodness, this is coffee. Like, this is horrible, And I was like, well, it doesn't taste anything like chocolate or caramel. And it's like, it's the note, it's the flavor profile. It doesn't mean it's gonna not taste like coffee. It's still gonna taste like coffee. There's just, sometimes it's the initial when it hits your tongue, sometimes it could be the aftertaste notes. So
our syrup does that. If you try our syrup, sometimes it tastes like vanilla. Other times it tastes like chocolate.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But it won't normally get the chocolate taste in a dark syrup done at the end of the season. Vanilla is usually the beginning of the season.
Interesting.
What I gotta say, thanks a lot for watching our video. Do consider giving us a thumbs up, and until next time, you guys know the line. You guys know the line? God bless you.
There you go.
All right.